This is Serena Cherry from Svalbard, and you're listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. This is Keith.
And Tommy.
And we're back with another fresh and exciting episode. And tonight, on the show, Travis Shettel of Piebald. We have spoken to Travis. We have gotten the goods. And we will be delivering them to you momentarily.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to hear it. I got super excited because Travis is a part of a band that my wife and I don't share much in common when it comes to music, but we both love Piebald, and which is for her, she doesn't love much music, but it's one of those bands that we can share. And I'm just so glad I got to ask him a couple things that were really kind of nagging questions I had over the years and things I just wanted to kind of get out in the open, and nothing like juicy, like, oh, what about this? Like, I just clarifying things, having been a fan for a long time. I really just wanted to make sure I got some closure on some lyrical content, name choice, just that kind of stuff. It was such a great time, and he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, great band, great person. So strap in, you're going to be hearing that soon. And folks, just some quick reminders. Follow us on everything. Twitch.tv/The New Scene. Facebook, The New Scene, YouTube, The New Scene, and please subscribe to us there. Like the videos, comment if you dig them. Twitter and Instagram, New Scene Pod. And folks, I can't believe I have not announced this on the show yet, but we have shirts. They're live. They're here. The long sleeve Life is Music is Life New Scene Podcast shirt is live. Pre-orders are up. To get your shirt, go to the Death Wish store and search The New Scene. You'll see the shirt. You can order it. The post is also up on our page. Check it there. The best way to support us right now is to buy this shirt. We don't have a Patreon. We don't ask for any money, but we have this shirt, and it's a great looking shirt. So if you want to support us, pick yours up today. The design is by Brian Morgante of Flesh and Bone Design. Pre-order yours now. It's ready. It's here. Let's do it. Oh, yes. And of course, support our sponsor, Iodine Recordings. Check them out at iodinerecords.com. Great bands, great merch, great everything. Now, Tommy, there is more breaking news in the Every Time I Die camp. A lot has happened. Last week, we announced that the band released a statement saying they were done. And then Keith released a legal notice that the band sent him to separate from the band. And then the bass player Steve Machici, I hope I'm saying this right. Steve Machici. He released a statement, a long statement, and I got like halfway through it, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm like tired of reading statements." Tommy, this band sounds like they have a lot of issues.
They need that therapist that Metallica had.
Yeah, they sound like they have a lot of issues with Keith, and Keith has issues with his brother, and everyone's got problems in one of the statements, they said we should have just broke up in 2014.
Oh, Jesus.
I think that was in a statement Keith released. I can't keep track of all the statements, but apparently things were bad in 2014, and he said we should have just broken up then. So I guess this was a long time coming, huh?
Yeah, this sounds like a lot of these issues have been kind of bubbling under the surface, and that show in upstate New York kind of just brought everything to a head, apparently.
Yeah, so it's done. I guess that's it.
Well, I'll play Hot Damn tonight and light a candle.
Floater is such a good song.
It is a great song. There's a couple tracks on Hot Damn that I can just play over and over again.
Track 2, I don't remember the name of it, Off Broadway, I think, and Floater. I really like the lyrics in Floater, and I go back to that song the most.
It's a shame because they're a good band. They still make cool music, and I don't know. It bums me out, especially when it's like a family type thing. They're brothers. I know I've butted heads with siblings of mine, But I really just hope everything comes to. I hope they give themselves enough of a break that eventually they can sit down when everybody has cooler heads, and hopefully they can come back together at some point and play some music so everybody can come back and have a great time.
I think they will. I think they just need an extended break.
Yeah.
Best wishes to Every Time I Die. And what else is going on? Oh, Little Greenhouse came out last weekend, Tommy.
Oh, yeah. You sent me a track right away.
Yeah, I was like, this is the best song I've ever heard. It was the first song on the record. This is my new favorite band now. I love this record. I listen to it a lot.
I actually am. I was kind of taken aback with the first song you sent me because it was like, I was very used to the sound that you had sent me on the first one, and I was like, oh, okay, this is the single. Kind of ran that into the ground, and then you sent me that one, and there's a really heavy section in the about 2.5 minutes deep
where he's screaming.
Yeah, I did not. That kind of came out of left field and kind of hit me. I was like, wow. And it's good heavy. I mean, it's not like let's just put it this way. It's not misplaced. It clearly fits in line with the song structure and the way it works. But at the same time, definitely not what I thought it was going to sound like.
Yeah, it's tasteful heavy thrown in there. They don't shy away from a little bit of aggression here and there, but I think it's a fantastic album. Congrats to the gentlemen in the band. I like it a lot. And that inspired me to go back and listen to Blink-182, the self-titled. And I forgot how good that record is. I would listen to songs here and there, but I listened to the whole thing through, and a lot of it, most of it, is really good, and I can really hear the influence on Anxious. Tommy, did you go back and listen to Here's Your Letter?
I did.
What'd you think?
It's okay.
Oh,
it's just that's not my cup of tea. I can understand it's a great. I will say this: the lyrics are very heartfelt and they're poignant. I mean, it's a good song. I don't know what it is about that kind of melodic, kind of that type of music. For some reason, I tend to zone out. If that makes any sense, like rather than really focusing on kind of the music, I tend to kind of focus on my surroundings rather than the actual music itself.
So it doesn't grab you?
It doesn't, no.
Well, here's the thing. That's not my go-to genre, but Blink are so good that I am compelled by them when I listen to it.
The power of Christ compels you.
Sure, why not? So that's it. So we're out of time for this segment. Check back in with us at segment 3 because we're going to talk about my birthday recap, Tommy.
Ooh, I'd love to hear about this.
Yes. And we're going to read some listener feedback. It's going to be very exciting. But folks, right now, we are going to talk to Travis Shettel of Piebald. Enjoy. All right, folks, we're here now with Travis Shettel. Travis, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's very exciting to have you here. So, Travis, you got to tell us, how are you doing today?
Oh, today? Pretty good. I feel good about today so far.
What'd you do? What happened?
Well, I worked on some school homework, and I also sat at the bar where I work and received deliveries. Thursday is delivery day.
I see. Now, are you attending school?
Yes, I'm going to Southern University of New Orleans for social work. It's a master's degree. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I'm trying.
That's awesome. So do you live in New Orleans?
I do. Yeah, I've lived here now for over 5 years.
Oh, wow. Did you move there from Boston?
I moved there from Los Angeles. I'd been living there previously for about 12, 14 years. And then before Los Angeles, I lived in Boston.
Wow. So you've been all over the place.
I have kind of lived in all sorts of places in these wonderfully weird United States.
What's your favorite so far?
Well, I'm going to say New Orleans because now I'm living here. I mean, I go to school here. I'm getting married to a fine lady who lives here and has family here. So I am a Louisiana resident, which I never thought I would say, let me tell you. So it's interesting to say that.
Even just saying the words, I'm a Louisiana resident, I can't imagine never saying that.
Yeah, I didn't think I would ever fully accept that and say that that's real, but that is real. I'm a New Orleans man and a Louisiana resident.
That's excellent. It sounds great. Did you what prompted the move from Los Angeles to Louisiana?
Well, I'd always had wonderful times in New Orleans and thought it was a magical place, whether it was on a tour or for a wedding. Or I remember one time a bunch of us that worked together at the Big Burrito in Boston ages ago, we went down there and had so much fun. So I just equated the city with uniqueness and wonderful memories and moved down here knowing one person and kind of created a life. It's a wonderful little weird city.
Yeah, that sounds great.
What's the weather like down there? Because currently just outside of Philadelphia, where I'm located, it's snowing in 25.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I don't live there, to be honest. But here it is cold. It's cold. I'm going to tell you the next couple days weather because I'm curious myself. So today the high was 65, but right now it's low 40s, and that's where it's going to kind of remain the rest of the week. Some low 50s, but so right now we get a winter, but it's not freezing cold. But it does have some chilly days. I have seen it snow here, but it is nothing like New England, nothing like Pennsylvania.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Especially New England. Boston is brutal in the winter.
I remember so much snow when I was a kid.
Right.
And like when I was in college and we lived in Somerville in Boston, you'd have like 4 to 5 months of like grueling coldness and snow.
Tell us about growing up in Massachusetts.
I loved it, but I also realized you can't get any other perspective, right? You only can grow up as you. So like I probably would have loved some other growing up experience as well. But I did really like Massachusetts. I love it. It's still where I say that I'm from. I am absolutely a mass hole. So I don't know. It's a place where I claim as my origin state. You know, I was born in Pennsylvania actually, but
where in Pennsylvania?
Close to York. I think it was Jacobus. That's probably not where I was born, but that's where my parents lived.
Ah, nice. We're from just outside of Philly, so PA represent.
Yep. Yeah. We always would visit my grandparents, and they lived in Glen Rock, also kind of outside of York, so southern central Pennsylvania.
Yep.
But yeah, I identify as a Massachusetts person. I certainly feel like I was not made in Southern California or Los Angeles, and I was not made in New Orleans, or Louisiana. I'm not, but I can claim that I am now a Louisiana resident and person, but I was made in Massachusetts for sure.
Understood. Yeah, like I live in Brooklyn now, but I don't say I'm from New York. I say, well, I was born outside of Philly and then raised in Philly and then moved to New York. That way no one gets mad. I'm not claiming to be from Philly. I'm from outside Philly, and I'm not claiming to be from New York.
Yeah, I certainly can't claim New Orleans or Louisiana. Like I can't do it, and people would not let me do it, So it's not acceptable.
People take that very personally from Philadelphia, because I've said that before, like when I've been on vacation, just to make it easier in terms of conversation. They're like, where are you guys from? Oh, Philadelphia. Oh, really? What neighborhood?
Yeah.
Ben Salem. They're like, that's not Philly. I'm like, I know. It's like 5 minutes from Philly, but okay, yeah, no, I'm not from Philadelphia. Sorry.
Right. It's very close. It's the nearest landmark city. Come on.
Precisely. But they lose it. People from Philly lose it when you say that.
I feel like that's kind of particular. That's everywhere, because people have this pride in like knowing neighborhoods of where they live or where they have lived or where they've been. And so they're curious about where you came from in that place, and then we'll call you out if you're just outside of it.
So where in Massachusetts did you grow up, Travis?
I grew up in Andover, which is 20 miles north of Boston. So it's, northeastern Massachusetts, and it's close to New Hampshire. But yeah, very, very rural. I think there was, at the time I was in high school, there was 30 some odd thousand people in Andover. And Aaron and Andrew also grew up there. And John, our first drummer.
Oh, nice. Were you always interested in music?
I would say yes, because some of the earliest memories I have are, like hearing songs on Top 40 radio or oldies radio or piano lessons, things like that. So yeah, I think early on it was an interesting thing to me.
So you took piano lessons when you were young?
Yeah, age 6 to like 11, but then piano wasn't cool anymore. So it turns out I was wrong. Piano is cool, but I had to learn that the hard way by quitting.
Yeah, like now I'm like, man, if I would have just played piano my whole life instead of guitar, that would be way cooler.
Yeah, man. I wish I had like picked up the drums, but that's all right. That's my looking back regret. Well, I have tons of them, but we don't need to get into that now, do we?
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, true. Save it for later.
So when did you pick up guitar?
Well, after piano, I think I went to bass for a little bit because I thought the bass was fun, and I still do. I love playing bass. It's fun. I enjoy it. But then that didn't last very long with lessons, at least, and then there was I remember doing some sort of a classical guitar, and that just wasn't really up my alley, but it was cool. I was impressed by it. And then I somehow got my hands on an electric guitar, and I never took lessons on it. But that was the end, the beginning of the end.
So, Travis, tell us about discovering punk rock, hardcore, whatever it was, the underground. What was your entry point?
I would say there are two things here. There's two pivotal, crucial things that happened. One was a radio station called WFNX, which was an alternative radio station from Boston. And they played things like Elvis Costello and the Cars and Screaming Trees and Pixies and things that you weren't hearing on Top 40 radio. And that exposed me to a lot of things. I don't know how I would have heard them or found out about their presence. I'm sure I would have later in life, but it was nice as a teenager to dial in WFNX and know you're going to hear something interesting and unique that was not Top 40 radio. And I really appreciated that. The second major thing was we happened to live in the Merrimack Valley, and something was in that water because Converge, two of those guys also went to Andover High School, and Kurt Ballou, who's the guitar player of Converge, he was a man who created so much music that he would start side project and pull kids who, not kids, but like his semi-peers. We were a couple years younger, but he would pull us into his side project bands. And so he would show you weird time signatures and other music that you hadn't heard about. And he introduced us to hardcore. And then on top of that, there's, just a few years after, or like a year after Piebald started, Cave-In started in Haverhill, which is just, a couple towns north of Andover. And so the Converge, Cave-In, Piebald family, I think, made Merrimack Valley really special, and things spawned from that. And I got introduced to a lot of unique, heavier music because of Kurt and that experience. And it ruled.
Yeah, it must have been really something to come up through there, because that area and all of these bands obviously have come up on the show multiple times. And you, Piebald, didn't you play Cave-In's first show?
Yes, we did. I can't remember now where it was, but yeah, absolutely. And I think that we screen printed Cave-In's first shirts, much like our own, in Aaron's basement at his parents' house.
Wow, that's like you guys are part of history.
We are at least part of each other's history, and know that we, contributed something that we didn't even know was that special at the time, which is special to New England and Massachusetts music. It's awesome. It's flattering.
Yeah, I love hearing about this stuff, because forget about classic rock or, I don't know, punk rock in England or whatever. Like this, those bands, that time, that's my thing. That's what I want to hear about. That's what I want to read about,
It really was special. And I know it was also my age, and almost having an elder like Kurt, who, looking back on it, he wasn't that much older, but he took us under his wing, kind of showed us things, and, would tell us of shows to go to, and just kind of really opened things up for us, or I think each of us in different ways. And it was, it was a magical time. It really was.
So tell us about how Piebald came together.
So Aaron and I first met from skateboarding, and we were sort of opposites and didn't really get along at first. But then something happened where opposites attract, much like the Paula Abdul song. It just seemed like, oh, I do like this guy's wackiness. Maybe it's because we were not like each other, but that's when I was playing some bass too, and he and I got together with a guy named Todd Collins and started playing, and then kind of got more into our friendship with Kurt and being introduced to hardcore and, you know, things like Fugazi and stuff like that. And Kurt also sort of introduced us to John Sullivan through his side projects. So we started playing with John, and we knew Andy's sister Leah because she went to Andover High School. Andy went to St. John's Prep, which was a Catholic school. So he didn't go to the same high school as Aaron and I, and John. But he got into the fold via his sister. So the beginnings of Piebald in, 1994, that was how it worked. We all would practice at John's parents' house in the basement, and it was myself, Aaron, who was a grade younger than me, Andrew was a grade younger than me in a different school, and John, who was a grade older than me at Andover High. So we all, lived fairly close together, and it was, as organic as it could get.
Absolutely. And the band back then, it had more of a hardcore, screamo,
absolutely.
hardcore type sound.
Yeah, when we started, it was absolutely more in the what our peers were doing, the Converge route. And I remember loving that band Heroin from San Diego and Mohinder and weird, really heavy stuff that formed the first, incarnation of Piebald music. But quickly we found Sunny Day Real Estate and Weezer, and it rocked our proverbial socks off. And then we felt like you could still be angry, but play more melodic music.
So when the band began to shift in sound, did you find any resistance from folks?
Oh, yeah, but yes. And people still are like, play Watch or Flow, or, play whatever, something from that era. And I try to have the mindset at all times, like, I'm appreciative that someone likes anything that I've made, like, that is so cool. So I have to appreciate it in that way. But I definitely don't think that's like our finest work. And I do get why people love it. Maybe it was a time and a place, and maybe they really think that was the best Piebald material. But I found that just by screaming alone, it kind of got redundant. And I felt like you could do more by singing. And that also changed the music, because if you're writing such sort of discordant music, it goes more with discordant vocals. And so I think they all kind of changed at once. And like I said, I just remember having that Sunny Day first cassette on repeat in my 1983 Saab for like 3 months. And also Weezer, the Blue Album, and Pinkerton. Both, it just was like, oh, heavy music can also sound like this.
Was Weezer, the Blue Album, that comes up a lot in discussions around the scene. Was that a big album in the scene? Because it came out when I was in, I don't know, 4th grade or something. So to me, it was just this cool band on the radio. But how did it fit in, like, in various scenes?
I feel like it was, I don't know. I think it fit in everywhere. I feel like it became popular and mainstream very quickly. But I do remember, the first time I heard the Blue Album, I was like, these guitars sound so huge, and these drums sound huge, and these song is so catchy, and they sing so well, but it's also, I don't know. It was, I guess, just something aligned for it. But I feel like it was popular kind of everywhere. It was sort of popular with top 40 style people or jocks or whatever, and kind of the punks could latch onto it because it was weird and a little bit heavier, and I don't know, it was catchy enough maybe even for other folks who normally wouldn't listen to that, or weird enough or quirky enough. I don't know, it seemed to connect with people. Both the first records, at least there was a lot of hits. There's a lot of hits on that first one.
That makes sense, because early in my hardcore days, Pinkerton was going around a lot, and that was an accepted album, so I was listening to that one a lot. Yeah,
they kind of had this, see how Jawbreaker is not really a hardcore band, yet every hardcore kid likes Jawbreaker.
Right.
Weezer isn't a punk band, but alternative kids can like Weezer, even if it's popular.
They're just an accepted band.
Yes. Not anymore, but I didn't say that. I did.
Well, the first three are good, at least.
Yeah. Some people don't even have 3 good songs.
Good point.
Hey, we don't have 3 good albums.
Well, let's talk about when. All right, so Piebald, we transitioned from a more hardcore sound to more of the sound we know now. Tell us about playing shows at that time. Tell us about when things kind of started to pick up and solidify. When did you notice it?
I feel like I really noticed it after Friends, but we did tour quite a bit after Venetian Blinds came out and even Rock Revolution. We were touring pretty extensively even at that time, but after Friends came out, we played like 300 shows in a year. And that was the time where I think all of us thought, oh, this is turning into something a little more real, a little more. I don't want to say like it's a job, but it's like we're doing this more than we're doing our regular lives. This is our regular life now.
Yeah, I remember you guys all over the place. My friend booked you at the Kill Time in Philly for a show. I
Yup.
saw you there. You played this epic show in Philly with Saves the Day and I think Newfound Glory.
Yep, that sounds right. That was absolutely a tour we were on.
Yes.
That trio of bands. Yep. That was a magical time. I've said that a lot in this interview so far, so I'll try to stop saying that was a magical time.
That tour must have been something, huh?
It was amazing. I was looking through Polaroids because Friends, we're the friends we have, turns 20 in February, and that is wild to me, but we're trying to collect things from that time. But I also found Polaroids from that Saves the Day Newfound Glory tour, and it's amazing how young we all look. Obviously, it's, I think that was 99. I might be wrong, but that sounds about right to me. 99, 2000.
Yep.
So that was, we're closer to 25 years ago than we are to 20 years ago.
How old were you at that time?
22.
So it must have been a great time. You're 22 years old. You're playing these great shows. Are you touring nationally at that point?
Yeah, we had toured quite a bit already. I remember the first East Coast tour we did with Cave In. Then the following summer, we did a U.S. tour with Jesuit. And then I want to say the following summer was when we went out with J. June. And then from there, it wasn't just summers. It was like we were just, tour whenever we could, have jobs that sort of let us off the hook. Or at some point in there, we didn't have jobs. We were just musicking, which was fantastic as well. But yeah.
So speaking of touring, talk about the tour bus. Now, I've heard that the tour bus was a central figure with the band, and you guys have even written songs about it.
Yes. His name was Melvin, and he was one of those, he's a literal school bus, but the short bus with the taller ceiling. So I don't remember why we named him Melvin, but he was painted like a school bus. We did one tour where we had all the regular school bus seats in there, and then we realized this is not very comfortable, and we pulled things out, put a bench seat in there that folded down into like where you could sleep. We built a loft. The gear went in the back under the loft, and then this was probably the most impressive part. We put a hammock in, and Aaron drilled it into one end of the ceiling and the other end of the ceiling, and we clipped it in the middle, but when you weren't moving, it was better. But you could just pull it down and be in the middle aisle on a hammock. It's pretty magical. Oh, magical.
So someone could be driving and someone else could just be asleep in a hammock?
Yes, but the hammock definitely, I do remember this. The hammock was much better when you weren't driving.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I see why that worked out that way.
So talk about the shows and touring at that time. Did you find acceptance with, you're touring with Jesuit and Cave In. Did you have tough crowds?
Not at that time, but that's when we were kind of bridging the gap between being a more hardcore style band and being a more melodic whatever we turned into. You know, it was like we were in that middle section, so to play with Cave-In was totally normal. Plus, that's how hardcore community was. Like you'd have shows or bands that kind of didn't always fit the hardcore mold, but were liked by hardcore kids. And so it seemed to be a time where that crossover of fans and a show like that was possible, you know. And then it eventually, I think, changed where we were touring with the Saves the Days, the Hot Rod Circuits, the Newfound Glories, the Thursdays, you know. But I do remember there would be very diverse shows in Boston and the suburbs in the mid and late 90s.
Yeah, I mean, back then you could see a ska band with a hardcore band with a grind band with an emo band on a bill, and it did, you know, it was fine.
Absolutely. 100%.
I think we need to get back to that because then I'd be able to check out more bands in one spot, and it would be very convenient for me.
Yeah, well, I think maybe you have to kind of set up some sort of law or something and see if you know any politicians to try and get that into like if you have a show in Philly or the surrounding area, oh, you're in New York. In New York or the surrounding area, you need to make sure that the diverse nature of the show is up to Keith's standards.
I think a lot of the diversity we saw in shows growing up was just because everybody was friends. It seemed like one big, huge community of people. And it was like, oh, so-and-so just started a band. Cool, put them on the bill. Like,
yes, there was definitely that sort of camaraderie. And a normal hardcore show wasn't all the same sounding bands. It would be often 8 bands, which is, you know, a little too many, but we didn't know what we were doing. That sounded, you know, 2 sounded the same. And then 3 other ones sounded different. And then there was the weird oddball band that you were like, how did they get on here? This is awesome and weird. And like, I don't know, it's just a time where it seemed like that was all accepted under the guise of hardcore, and it was beautiful.
And going to a show in your area back in the day must have been wild. I mean, was there ever a show where like Jesuit and Piebald and Converge and Cave-In and ISIS all played together?
I bet that happened. I don't have a specific date for you, but I bet something of that nature. I bet, did you list 5 bands including us? I bet 4 of those 5 bands are on some bill. That happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a cool time.
I always liked those crowds mixing until it was like there was a couple bands I remember specifically in Philly where a couple guys that were in heavier bands started like a more melodic kind of pop punk band. And then people that were fans of that would come out to see them and not know what they were getting into and walk straight into a real like Philadelphia kind of people are just moshing hard as fuck. And it's like, there's people that are like, oh, I came here from in the suburbs and I'm just going to hang out with my friends and enjoy myself. And now my nose is split open and I have to find a ride home.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there was probably some of that in Boston. We had the FSU presence that I remember was a little bit horrifying for us for a while there. But I feel like those things just sort of either wore themselves out or stopped becoming a problem, right? Like, did that stuff just sort of lessen? Did it go away, or did the scene seems to like progress and grow a little bit and it just ditched that stuff? I'm not sure, but it seemed to have left at a certain, it was there and it seemed prominent for a little while and then just kind of, I don't know, dispersed as a concept.
It does seem better now. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I can't ever bring myself back to 25 or 22 and experience those things. And I'm sure they happened somewhere now, but I don't know about them, you know.
Did you ever have wild moshing at a Piebald show and you had to be like, guys, tone it down?
Yeah. That's happened before. Often, though, it's more like, you know, you see somebody is physically either in pain or getting maybe a little bit too much of a rub down by another person where you got to like, hey, cool it, you know. But yeah, there's been those moments.
Tell us about the Red Barn.
It was a wonderful venue in North Andover. A lot of great shows happened there. I don't really know what it was. It was legitimately a red barn, but there was one big open room, and then in the back there was almost like a kitchen. So I don't know if it was like there was also not much around it. There weren't any houses around. It was like I don't quite understand what this was. Maybe this used to be a camp area or something like that, or people use it for, because there was definitely a lot of outdoor space near that venue. But so you'd put all your gear in the kitchen area. There was a tiny little stage right outside of that area, and then just a big boxy room. But Marilyn, who ran a skate shop, was this older. I only say that because when you're young and you're trying to convince someone to have a show somewhere, it's not as easy as if you're like, in your 40s or 50s and going to talk to somebody, being like, hey, I want to make these all ages shows happen for these kids. So I think that's probably what she did somehow, and maybe knew people, but she was able to sort of be, I don't know, in a way, a chaperone, I guess, and somehow made shows like that happen. They'd be all ages. You couldn't have alcohol there, obviously, but it would, the kids of the scene would book touring bands and bring them into the Red Barn. Marilyn would facilitate it. We'd pick a date, and you just make shows happen there. And I want to say there was a couple year period where there was hundreds of shows that happened there that were amazing.
Did you get some like big time acts through there?
I would not say they were ever big time acts, but there were some wonderful shows that, like I remember seeing Walleye there. You remember that New Jersey band? And I thought, how cool that I'm seeing Walleye in the Red Barn. But is that a big time act? I don't really think so. It was more like it supported the hardcore community of bands who needed a fairly small, all ages venue to play that had a hardcore / punk crowd attached to it.
Yeah, and I mean like big time to you, because we had a similar things going on just outside of Philadelphia. So bands would play Philly, and then our friends would book these local venues that sound like what you're describing. So they'd go through Philly, and then all these bands would come through Bucks County. We'd see Poison the Well, we'd see Nora, we'd see Torn Apart, we'd see Converge. Everybody came through.
Yep, that was probably a kind of a thing. If someone has the access to a community center style place at that time, not only were a lot of us just not drinking because of our philosophical beliefs, but like we were too young anyway. So it's not, like we just needed a place to be loud and annoying, and those places provided that.
Exactly. I wonder, I guess the all ages venues are still happening out there somewhere. I'm not privy to it anymore because I turned 40 this week, but it's got to still be happening. There's still newer bands.
There is a place actually in Los Angeles called The Smell, and they are always all ages.
I like that. I think that's important.
It is cool. I can't think of one here in New Orleans. I'm sure there is one, but this is almost like too much of a drinking debauchery city that I don't see that really happening here.
Yeah, I really wanted to visit New Orleans, but now that I don't drink anymore, I'm thinking, well, maybe I can skip it.
It's still beautiful to see. There is some really cool architecture. It's just a unique city. There's delicious food. The music scene is cool and weird all at once. But yeah, part of the fun here is related to drinking and nightlife. Yes. Absolutely.
So Piebald is playing. We're touring nationally. Things are picking up. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. So late 90s. And then we, took a little hiatus there in 2000 and 2001, and then came back with the original lineup. And I've been writing a lot of songs at that time. And that's when We Are the Only Friends We Have was sort of born and created. And then we recorded that in October of 2001. And it came out in February of 2002. And then I feel like after that, it was the next year and a half was a fiery inferno of shows and being everywhere in the United States and Europe.
Tell us about that time. Was that the biggest crowds and the biggest reaction the bands had seen so far?
Yeah, at that point, yeah, that was the biggest. Absolutely. I'm happy to say and lucky to say that I think some of the 2016 reunion shows that we did at first when we got back together were more amazing than I ever could have imagined, and that anything that ever came before it. But at that time, yeah, 2002 into 2003 was you could feel the excitement about Friends and what we were doing. I feel like audiences were into it. It was a good time.
Did you ever end up on any random shows with any super huge acts?
I mean, the biggest I'm thinking is Andrew WK. So no, I guess not super huge acts. We've never, I guess, broken that sort of barrier. It seems, we're still in the like we're gonna still tour probably with the Newfound Glories and the Thursdays and the bands of that nature. I don't know that we've broken through to like being on tour with, say, are the Foo Fighters ever going to take us on tour? I highly doubt it. Like is U2 going to take us on tour? Definitely not.
They should.
They won't. They won't. Let's dare them to.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But it's. We never really got to quite that level, but it was still incredible to be playing on a tour with, say, Glassjaw and Juliana Theory, and you're like, holy cow, I know that Glassjaw has some rabidly obsessive fans, but there are people in here that are digging us, and that's awesome, and then you'd go on. I remember doing a tour with Hey Mercedes, and that one was one where was kind of losing my voice at that time, but I remember thinking what we're doing is really impacting people. We would play shows and the audience was just going crazy. It was that was cool. People were hearing Friends and they were getting into it and they liked what they heard, I guess.
Did Piebald ever try to go major? I mean, you guys have incredible pop sensibilities and hooks and all that stuff. No.
I think I would phrase it like this. We never tried to do it, and quite honestly, we sucked at that stuff. But I do remember a few moments of being courted by a few majors. One was, oh man, I can't remember, but Shinji Suzuki. I remember meeting him. I hope if he's out there, I would love to say hi to Shinji Suzuki, but I cannot remember what label he was working for. But it was a bigger one, and he was courting us for a minute. And then there was a few others, but it didn't last very long. We didn't know what to do. We didn't want anybody to tell us how to make a record, or excuse me, I didn't want anybody to tell us how to make a record. And I guess we kind of thought we could do things on our own a little more. But turns out maybe that step, I can't alter history, but I'm curious to see what would have happened had we, I think Shinji Suzuki was at Universal. Yes, I came back full circle and remembered that. But Piebald can have no other path, but I'm always curious what would have happened if we had gone down the major label route.
So the offers were there, you just didn't do it.
There were some, and I wouldn't call them offers. There were discussions. There was not like, hey, here's an offer with like a piece of paper. Here's the contract if you want to sign it. It was like, oh, we're going to come out and see you in New York, and we'd like to take you guys out to dinner and talk after that. And so the next time you're in New York, you go meet up with him. And at that time, it would have been probably only like 2 months later that we would have been there because we were touring so much. And so then you go and you talk to him a little, and they try to present you with an idea, and you don't know what you're doing because you're a kid and you just wanted to make music because it was fun. But you also realize that you would love to make music and be making money. So you're trying to figure out all these things, and you also don't want somebody to tell you how to make music in general, because I find that weird to me, because it's not why anybody ever starts playing music. You play because it doesn't tell you what to do. You get to be creative in music. I don't know, but yeah, I think we just didn't really know how to handle it or what the right move was at that time. And I don't know if we made a mistake, but I looking back on it, I do wish sometimes I could have seen what another path would have led to.
Yeah, but you made the decision that you didn't want to do it, which I respect, because you're like, hey, there's these discussions, but it's not something we're interested in.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't think it wasn't that we weren't interested. We just didn't know how to navigate it or comprehend it even amongst ourselves, what it meant exactly. I don't know. It was beyond our capabilities as a small town punk band. And so it never really worked out.
That makes sense. It's like you almost couldn't even comprehend it.
Yeah, I think that was probably part of the difficulty in making a decision. Plus, Piebald is disgustingly democratic, so it takes us a long time to make decisions, It's hard to because I can't really move forward if you can tell that the popular opinion is one that doesn't want to move forward with a certain idea. Like if you're not all on board, or most of you at least, with the other population at least seeing why we would take that stance, like what's the point? You're supposed to be like a gang, like a crew. Like you want to be doing these things together because you're going to believe in it more. So that's why we've gone this route, but it just takes us forever to make decisions.
Is it still like that too?
Yes, we just have a lot less decisions to make.
What's the last hard decision you all had to make together?
I guess it was just some sort of logistical thing for the last set of shows we did right before Christmas. So probably not super major, just something that we had to discuss and all figure out and work as a team to get everything done on time.
Yeah, it's funny how like the older you get, the harder it gets to plan things.
It's really difficult, and you realize if someone is gonna really run a band, it's kind of like a lot of work, because and I say that because of this. If in our case, right, you go on tour, and we played a week of shows before the holidays, and so there's things like van rental, where your hotel is going to be. You need to make merch, and that's got to happen a couple weeks to months before this starts. So you need designs, and then if you're doing social media, you kind of got to make sure that keeps going and you have content for that, so people are paying attention and they know you're going to tour. There's really things to take care of. You need to advance the shows. There's stuff to take care of all the time. There's a lot of little details that take effort and time.
How much of that do you guys have to do yourselves? Do you have management who helps book anything or set up any of that stuff?
We have a booking agent that we've had for a very long time. His name is Matt Galley. He is God sent, but he still books us. But our main person, like doing social media right now, is what I would call our tour manager. His name is Dana, because everyone sort of has full-time jobs and can't focus on things specifically. But like in this past tour, Andy did all the merch work. All of us sort of worked out hotel ideas, but Dana would book the actual hotel. Dana got the van for us. He's been doing social media. So Dana is kind of our go-to Piebald liaison these days, who is doing a lot of the dirty work.
It's nice to have help, right? Because I've done it both ways, where I do everything myself and where I have a little help, and it's nice to have a little help.
It's nice to have a lot of help, but it's equally nice to have a little help.
So the band is going strong until around 2007, yes?
Yes, 2007. I think we played our last official in quotes shows in 2008, but we decided to call it in 2007.
Why?
Just because everybody's life had the importance of Piebald was shrinking in everyone's life. That's how I'll say it. It was on the back burner of everyone's mindsets, instead of the thing we were trying to push and grow together as a unit. It was kind of like we were dragging ourselves along, and it was becoming a chore.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we get older, priorities change, right?
Yep. Yeah, things change. People want to not have no money and go on tour 5 months of the year, and people want to maybe have a child, like everyone else in Piebald has a child now, and some of them are 10, and careers are going to say you can't tour 6 months of the year. And also, I think we had I wouldn't say it was a devastating blow, but when we put out All Ears, All Eyes, All the Time, I think we didn't anticipate how little of a response it would get. Like it just seemed like after Friends, we were kind of riding this wave, and then we put out All Ears, All Eyes, All the Time, and it was just kind of like silence, or people were almost like, this isn't what I wanted them to do. And that's okay, because we made the album we wanted to at the time. But I definitely think that aided in, the end being 3 years after that.
Have you seen a better response to that album over the years? I know sometimes it just takes people a long time to come around on a piece of music if it's not what they expected.
I guess a little, yes, but it still feels like we and I almost avoid it,
Yeah.
We play as few songs as possible from it. We probably ever know a total of 3 songs on that record at any time. It's like, I don't know. It's weird. I sadly wished we looked upon that record with more fond memories.
So even today, you still don't look upon it with the most fond memories?
No, I don't.
And is it just because of the response, or did you wish like maybe you did something different when you guys were writing it?
I think it's both, and maybe not in the writing, but maybe in the like how we went about the recording. I think we were just our minds were a little too fanciful, thinking we could do all sorts of weird, or what we thought was weird, studio stuff instead of focusing on the song. Maybe I don't know where we went wrong exactly, and maybe someone will tell me that we didn't. But in my personal opinion, yes, people's reaction to it certainly was a not ideal thing. But then also, I just feel like, I don't know, we didn't maybe make the best record we could have.
So what did you do once the band was over initially?
I don't know. I bartended and then started other projects like TS and the Past Haunts with my friends Ben and Heather. That was my next musical thing. But yeah, I just worked and hung out in Los Angeles for a while.
Did you ever at any time want to get out of music and think, hey, I'm going to become an accountant or something?
No, neither of those are really right. Because I never fully think I'm going to get out of music. I think at some point I had one of those, I'm never going to play music again. But I realized that's stupid. Like, no matter what, my life is going to have some involvement in music. And then I'm never going to be an accountant. I worked in data entry for Tufts health plans or something, and I legitimately took a piece of paper and made sure it matched what was on the computer. I will not work in an office job like that. I just can't do it.
I don't blame you. I've done those menial entry-level office jobs, and they really suck the life out of you.
I don't even want to enter buildings like that.
Makes sense. So the band ended up getting back together around 2010, yes?
Yeah, we played some reunion shows there. Let me see. I think we played a West Coast and East Coast Bamboozle, and then we went to Europe. But that wasn't really a reformation. That was like a reunion. But now I would say we were a reformed band.
At what point did you become reformed? And was it weird? Was there any discussions that you had to work through or anything like that?
Yeah, I do think there was discussions we had to work through. I feel like in 2016, when we played those reunion shows, we weren't quite sure what was going to happen. But then since then, 2017, 2018, even 2019, 20, and 21, we played shows in all of those. That's a pretty working band. But I think the real conversation when you're a band is like, are you going to make new music? And I think that took me a very long time to come around to. And that's part of why we did the Christmas EP first, because they don't have to be a Piebald song per se. It's just got to be a holiday song. So it maybe took a little bit of the the stress of writing a new Piebald song off of it. And I think that did help because we were able to like get back in a room again and still be writing new songs, but not have is this going to work on an album? How do we feel about it? Do we like it? It's like, no, let's have a fun time and just bash out 3 songs about weird holiday stuff. And then I think it did open a door. It made us be like, oh, this is really fun. We should try to maybe write some new songs. And I think that was a conversation we all had to have. And maybe those guys wanted to bend me to do it more than I wanted to at first, but I've certainly come around and we've been writing songs. So it's cool.
So you are working on new music now?
Yes, I do not know what will happen with said music, and we've made some recordings, but I think we're waiting to write. I want us to have so many songs that look, we have 2 albums almost. That way we make sure we're putting out whatever the best release is with our finest moments,
Exactly. And I'm happy to hear that you are working on new music because, look, it's difficult to be an artist. Whatever it is that you're working on, if you're not happy with what you did or if you think that people aren't happy with what you did, like me, I'm incredibly sensitive. So if I put out a podcast and everyone was like, hey, this fucking sucks, I would be hesitant to record another one the next week.
Yes. Yeah. It takes you down a level, especially if you've come from the podcast before that where everyone was like, that was so sick. Then you're like extra let down because you're like, I thought it was good. But apparently other people weren't feeling the same way I did.
Yeah. And so back to the Weezer comparison. I mean, I wasn't paying attention when Pinkerton came out, but Rivers Cuomo says that it was not well received, and we all know that story where he disappeared and they didn't write an album for a number of years. But then eventually people came around, and I think that album has gone platinum since.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I remember thinking maybe it wasn't. I remember thinking it sounded so good, and I thought the songs were awesome. I didn't know why people were down on it. Because after that, to me, I don't know. I guess you could take critique in so many ways, and it's weird what some people like and what some people don't like.
You just never know how it's going to shake out.
Yeah, at all.
I was going to say, I think like one of the things with the follow up to the Blue album, the Blue album hit really hard when I was in like 5th or 6th grade. I think people were mad that it wasn't the Blue album part 2. If that makes sense. Like they wanted that same kind of like heavy sound, like I keep thinking back to my one friend was really like, love that song, My Name is Jonas. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I love that they mixed that acoustic part and then the heavy part comes in. It sounds so like boisterous and bombastic. It's so heavy. And it's like, when you hear Pinkerton, you don't get as much of that. And I think that's what people expected. And when they didn't hear it, they were like, never mind. What's next?
Yeah. Yeah, they should have put out maybe not should have, but they maybe put the Green album out before Pinkerton. You can't redo. You cannot.
Exactly. And in terms of art and artists and all that stuff, you know who I think of a lot of times? Robin Williams. Now, I think my point is you have to just keep doing what you're doing and not let people get you down, which I know is impossible in some cases. But if you look at all the movies Robin Williams has done, most of them are horrible or you haven't heard of them. Like one day I went on his IMDb and I was like, he's done this many movies? But you think of like the 5 best ones, but that's over spans of decades.
Right. That's true. Yeah, he did so much work that the stuff that's not that great kind of falls through the cracks, and you're remembered for the fact that you just made so much, and some of it was really good.
For sure, because that's like one of those things that, the speech from Dead Poets Society, or that scene in Good Will Hunting where he's sitting on the bench,
he like kills it in Hook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's another
so good.
There's another movie that he was in. He plays a homeless man. It's called The Fisher King.
Yep, I remember that. I haven't seen that in a long time, but I remember that one. Or like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Classic.
Oh my God. That's a great movie. It was a run by fruiting.
So Travis, Piebald played Furnace Fest this past September.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, I caught you guys there. It was the first time I've seen you in many, many years. And I have to say, what a great set and what a great fest. Share some of your experience.
Oh, I love that venue and the Sloss Furnace. It was a real treat to get to walk around that day. That was a great festival. The weather was beautiful. It was also like a time when you thought, oh, this COVID cloud is changing, which we sort of see is not exactly the truth, but that's what I think everybody was feeling that positivity at that time. But yeah, there were so many friends, bands, and so many people. I wish we could have stayed more than just that one day. But that was a really fun. That was a really fun day. Cool venue.
Did Piebald ever play any of the older Furnace Fests?
No, this is our first.
Yeah.
At least in my memory, it was.
So it's possible there was another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't remember every someone could tell me, no, you played it in 2000 whatever, and I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
Yeah, the amount of shows Piebald has played, it would be impossible to remember all of them.
Yeah, I don't.
So I heard you were once roommates with Casey from Iodine Recordings.
Yeah, I think he lived in our Blaine Street house, or maybe it was after that, the Empire Street apartments.
Give us the scoop on him. Was he an annoying roommate? Did he ever bother you?
No, not at all. I feel like he kind of was like under the radar a little bit.
You just didn't see him?
No, I mean, we saw him, but it wasn't like Kurt, who had a studio in the basement. So you knew when he was there, or whatever, but like he just flew under the radar a little more, I guess. But yeah, Casey's a great guy.
Absolutely. Oh, wait, there's another question I want to ask. Now, all of the older, more hardcore influenced Piebald material, would you ever play any of that again?
I'm not going to say never, but I don't think it's going to be on the top of our list of priorities.
That makes sense. When is the last time you played any of that stuff? Was it like when it was out, or did you ever do like a one-off, hey, here's our older stuff show?
No, we haven't done a one-off show like that. Maybe we will for the, birthdays of certain albums, but I don't think like we do it for Sometimes Friends Fight, which is probably what some people really want to hear. But I don't know. I remember when we were in the van, actually around Christmas, we played that song Vacuum, which is kind of almost an instrumental from the Sometimes Friends Fight record. And we were like, we should play this, but that's all it ever gets to. And we never actually play those songs, but we say things like that.
Okay, so what's coming up? Tell us what's coming up. We're working on new music, right?
Yeah, and we're going to play the fest in Florida in October. But that's right now all we got on the docket this year. I'm getting married. That's cool for me.
When are you getting married?
October 8th.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is it going to be a big wedding?
Not huge, but it'll be big. Carrie and I both have really big families. So I think she's not here now, but she was adding up just the family guests, and that's 96 people.
Ooh, yeah.
And I like my friends more than my family. Did I say that out loud? I did. It's okay, though. None of my family will listen to this, but
me either.
Yeah, so it's fine. I can say things like that. But yeah, we both have big families. It's a little tricky, but we're going to make it happen.
Well, that's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
Any plans for kids?
No, we're she on like our first or second date, I overheard her say to somebody, I don't want to have kids. And I remember tapping her on the shoulder and being like, I just heard what you said and you just got so much hotter. Like it was like, this is perfect. Because sometimes, especially at this age, if you want children, you got to get going.
Right.
Like you're not waiting around. So I was happy to hear that she wasn't interested in that because I am not either. So that's also like a big uniting or dividing decision right there. So
when you're not involved with Piebald and music and various projects, what are some things you enjoy doing?
Let's see. I mean, I love listening to records, reading. Right now I'm in school, and enjoying isn't maybe the right word, but I'm appreciating all the learning I'm doing. So that's kind of my current life. Bartending is my job. But yeah, I don't know. Riding my bike around New Orleans is nice, but it's a little cold tonight, so I won't be doing that. But yeah, music's the number one hobby. Either listening to it or just kicking around with a guitar.
Nice.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, first I'm going to start off with a Punisher type thing.
Oh boy, I'm ready.
So, I've loved Piebald for a really long time, and I married a girl who has absolutely no connection to music at all. Like music is background noise to her. She puts on music and she doesn't really listen to it. She doesn't pay attention to it. But when I was making mixed CDs for her when we were in college, she'd always say, "Hey, can you put those 2 punk rock songs that I really like?" And I would be like, "I don't know what you're talking about." What she meant was American Hearts and Grace Kelly with Wings.
Oh,
That's what she loved, those songs. And one of the things she always asks is, she knows all the words to Grace Kelly with Wings, but she's like, "What? I don't understand. What's the connection between this woman looking great in a dress and a cactus? I don't understand it." And I'm like, well, I'm talking to that dude tonight. I'll ask him.
I'll ask him. Yeah, I think looking back on it, that's just a song about taking things for granted, and it was snippets of connecting things that don't seem connected.
Okay. So my other question was, I know the word piebald, and this is embarrassing, but I listened to you guys for a long time before I found out piebald's an actual word. Is that you guys? What was the origin of the name? How did you guys kind of come up with that?
There was a book in high school that I was reading, and I believe it was called Frederick. I might be wrong about that, but I think I'm right. But I just saw the word on the page, and I said to myself, "I've never seen this word before. I don't know what it is. I'm going to look it up, and this is maybe a cool band name." And I looked it up, Spotted of Opposite Colors. Okay, it's not really anything. It's not bad or good, but it just, when you wrote it, it looked nice. I don't know. The band name was kind of the thing then. It wasn't like you didn't call yourselves the Piebald at that time. You were just Piebald. But I don't know. The word was just a unique word that popped into our life and then became our band name.
That's so funny. Is like eras of band names of like the singular name, the one with the article in the beginning of and then the sentence fragment band name era of upon breathing the wings or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Do horse people ever get mad at you for confusing things?
No, but I love that we blow up that feed.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, people think they're just going to get like snakes and horses and stuff, and then they see like a bunch of gross dudes, and they're like, "Oh man, what is this piebald? I don't want this. I'm a horse connoisseur."
So yes, folks, we're going to check out the Piebald discography, right? We love it. We need it. We want it. That's number one. Piebald is playing Fest this coming October. We're going to go to that, right? Right, Travis?
Yes, I'll be there.
Yes, he will be there. And Piebald is working on new music. We don't know when we'll see it, but we are anticipating it.
I believe that's a truth. I just don't know what the format will be. I don't know how it will happen, but I believe it will happen.
Well, we're standing by. And Travis, I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. You know, Tommy and myself and many others out there really appreciate you and what you do and what the band does. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks for walking me through all this digital age stuff. I think we got there.
We certainly did. Thank you. There you have it, folks. Travis Shettel. Excellent conversation. It was great hearing about Piebald. There was stuff I didn't know, and it was interesting when he talked about the response in albums from We Are the Only Friends We Have to All Ears, All Eyes all the time, and just, you know, how he was candid about how people reacted to the album and his own feelings on it. I thought that was really interesting stuff.
Yeah, and I like his mindset of like, I made an album that I like, so if anybody else likes it, that's good for them, and if they don't, it is what it is. Like, at least I did something I was happy with.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they're writing music again, because it kind of made me sad that he wasn't happy with the way things turned out, and they haven't really written anything new since. And it sounds like they're getting back to that, and that really makes me happy because they're a great band.
Yeah, you want to go out on a high note. You want to have something that you're like, you know what, this is a great endpoint. So I hope whatever comes out next, and hopefully after that, is something they can really, like, people will kind of sink their teeth into.
Yeah. So thank you, Travis. That was great. And how are we doing, Tommy? Now, I turned 40 this past weekend, Tommy.
Yes.
Now, folks, I'm going to tell you something. Something very beautiful and emotional happened. Tommy called me on FaceTime as I was leaving the house, getting on the subway, and I was like, "What's going on? What happened? What happened?" And then he texted me, and he's like, "Listen, call me back because the girls want to sing Happy Birthday to you." And I was like, "Oh my God." So I got to where I was going, and I called him back, and Tommy and his whole family sang Happy Birthday to me. And folks, I'm getting weepy right now, even telling the story, Tommy.
I kind of got that feeling from you. Like, and that's why I got off at the end. I was like, all right, man, well, I know you're on your way somewhere. So like, have a good night. I don't want you to feel upset on there, but it was like, we were talking about it at dinner, and I was like, tonight's Keith's birthday. And Ellie immediately was like, well, we're going to call him and sing happy birthday. It wasn't even like can we? It was like, well, we'll call him. And I was like, okay, well, let me text him and see what's going on. Let me try to figure this out. But they were like adamant, like, no. It's your friend's birthday. We're calling them. You have to sing happy. Who's going to sing happy birthday to him? I'm like, I don't know what his plans are for tonight. Maybe he's going to go somewhere and they're going to sing happy birthday to him there. And she's like, well, we'll do it too.
Oh, it was beautiful. I was like overwhelmed with emotion after I got off the phone with Tommy, wrote him a nice message. I was like, thank you so much. And then I was at my thing, right, Tommy? And I left the thing, and everybody standing outside saying happy birthday to me.
Aww.
And I was like, oh, I was so embarrassed. And then we all went out to eat, and guess what happened there, Tommy?
They sang happy birthday to you.
Again, and they brought out cake, and it was just, listen, it was a great time. My birthday is a weird time. I'm in this self-fulfilling doom prophecy because I don't know if I've talked about it on the show, but my older brother died in 1998, the day before my birthday. He died. I found him dead. He was diabetic and had a seizure, and no one knew it happened. And it's a sore spot in our family. It caused a lot of trauma. I think I had PTSD after it and was untreated, honestly, because I just think back on it now and I'm like, geez, that was crazy. So my birthday is a weird time. It's kind of overshadowed by this thing. And I'm like, do I say something? Do I not say something? And then I don't say something and no one addresses it and I'm mad, or they do address it and it's not enough. It's this whole thing, Tommy. But this is the first year where I felt centered and happy. And I just told people that it was happening and I didn't have very many expectations, and nice things happened. I went out to a nice meal. I bought myself an ice cream cake. And Tommy, I'm taking the ice cream cake out of the freezer and just eating it, eating it whole with a fork. I'm not even like cutting a slice off and putting it on a plate. I just pull the cake out and eat it with a fork.
So it doesn't look like a nice like Pac-Man. Like there's not like slices taken out of it and you like put it on a plate.
It's turning into a mess. It's turning into a mess.
I love that.
It looks like a nice slices taken out, but I was like, what the hell am I getting plates dirty for? It's just me here.
I love that.
Yeah, but Tommy, it turned out to be a great weekend. I saw Robert Butcher again. We hung out in the park and fed squirrels. It's funny. We sit in Tompkins Square Park. It's like 20 degrees out, and we're just like two old men sitting there feeding pigeons and squirrels.
That's a nice time to spend with somebody, though. I'll be honest with you, I've never done that before. I've never sat in a park and fed birds. I want to try. I should do that one day.
You have to get up here, and we have to hang out with him.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah. You're gonna do it once this new COVID variant settles down and it gets warmer. We're gonna get you up here. But yeah. So great weekend. What's going on with you? Give me the scoop.
Nothing with me. I've actually been really good. Oh. Cool thing. I had my interview today for my new position.
You had the interview.
I had my first round. So I passed the first round. Thursday, they are going to email me a video of another teacher teaching. And my performance task over the weekend will be to critique their teaching and basically mock up what my feedback would be like verbally. Like, what would I say to them about, what they can change in their classroom, what's going well, and what, if they can change anything, what are the steps they need to take?
Well, that sounds great.
Yeah. So I have that coming up this weekend. We just got over, I actually missed it this time. Everybody got sick in the house with the sole exception of myself. I ducked it somehow. But
wait. You're saying that there's more sick going around?
Everybody had a cough. Everybody.
Oh my God.
Everybody had a cough. Actually, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were absolutely awful because the baby was fine during the day. No fever. She really didn't have a cough. She really kind of had just like a slight runny nose. So we took her Sunday to walk-in hours, got her COVID tested. She's totally fine. All she had was a ear infection. So we got her on medicine. She started slowly getting better, but whenever she would lay down, she would start coughing. So she would sleep in like these 2 and 3 hour bursts. And like, she sleeps like 12 hours a night. She goes to bed at 7:00 at night. She wakes up at like 6:30 or 7:00 in the morning. So it was a constant parade of Kelly and I just being like, oh my God, she's up. Like, just us getting up and trying to rock her back to sleep. A couple of the nights she ended up back in our bed where we were just like propping her up with pillows because the taller she sat up, the less she coughed. And I had not slept well Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday night. And I felt literally.
Have you considered just like moving away?
No, like you mean like running away from my family?
Yeah, but like just for a year until this whole sick thing calms down.
No. But what Kelly and I came up with, and this was actually like we literally stood in the kitchen and flipped a coin, and the idea being when the baby wakes up that night, it will not be a tag team. It will be a singular person's duty. We have the whole basement set up as a bedroom, so. Whoever won the coin toss would go sleep in the bedroom when the baby woke up. So
who won?
Kelly. So
did you check that coin?
Yeah, no, I checked it. I actually selected the coin on part. Like I picked it out. I flipped it. She called it in the air. She won. So when the baby woke up, and this is the funny part, the baby woke up and she only woke up once. And I did the complete like not what you're supposed to do thing, which is, you're really supposed to rock her, get her back to sleep like in her normal pattern. I literally just grabbed her, put her on my chest, and went back to bed like nothing else happened. And she slept on my chest for like 4 hours. I woke up with this sweaty mess of a child like breathing into my face. And the first thought I had when I woke up was, well, whatever she has, I have now. There's no way I'm avoiding this at this point. And I ended up not getting it. So I was really excited about that. Work is going really well. My students just got back really great data from their last round of testing. So apparently I'm doing okay at what I do. And everybody's back on the mend. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's back in school. No fevers, no medicine. Everybody's off antibiotics. And I'm just looking forward to, this weekend coming up and spending some time hanging out, cleaning the house, going to Costco, typical family stuff.
Yes, we know how you feel about Costco. Now, Tommy, we got a nice email from a listener. Are you ready for this?
Yes, go.
Okay, this is from Ryan. He says, "Hey, Keith and Tommy, I've been listening to you guys for over 6 months, and I've been meaning to write to you guys for a while now. I wanted to let you know how great the podcast is. I actually look forward to Monday mornings because of your show. You have great guests, and I'm stoked that you guys got partnered with Iodine, who I always was a big fan of prior to their recent revival. Since you guys speak so openly and honestly on the podcast, I figured I'd mention that you guys helped me out through some hard times over the last 6 months. My first child was born in late April, and by late June, I'd lost my job. I'd been with the company for over 8 years and was let go in a pretty disgusting fashion. I struggled and still struggle with resentment over this, and I've struggled to find a job in the same industry that I love so much, and as a result, I was drinking more and gaining weight, all while caring for my newborn son. I've recently bounced back a little and wanted to thank you guys for what you're doing. I admire your honesty about your own personal struggles, as well as dealing with major shifts in your careers. Everything about the music and the podcast is great, but it's these personal touches that keep me and I'm sure many other listeners, coming back. While I'm still looking for the right permanent job, you inspired me to focus on self-improvement. I'm working on my CAPM certification and chilling out with the drinking. Wow. Yeah, Ryan, thank you so much. This is great. First of all, thank you. Second of all, I'm blown away and very happy that what we're doing is potentially helping someone. I love that because when I had nothing and nobody to talk to, and at the lowest points, I would listen to Howard Stern, and that kept me company. And I would listen to certain podcasts, and that would keep me company. And Tommy, to imagine that we are now doing that for somebody else brings me endless joy.
It's full circle. I love that. I love the fact that things that we've said on here are now helping people out that are actually listening to it. So, Ryan, keep up the good work. We truly appreciate you. And on top of that, best of luck with your job search, man. You got this. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, the next job is going to come along, and stay focused with the CAPM. It's tough, but you can do it. You can get it. Shoot, if I could do it, anybody can.
What's CAP? That's the project management?
Yeah, CAPM. There's 2 project management certifications from PMI, CAPM and PMP. CAPM is like the same material, just a little less intensive.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just stepped off the cliff and went right for PMP because I was like, if I'm going to do it, let's go all the way, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Now, there was a startling revelation. I was talking to Tommy the other day, and I realized he was in another band after Audience of One.
Yeah.
Tommy, what was the band?
So we went by the name Van Damage, like Van Dam, but like damage.
Yes.
And it was a girl I was dating at the time. Her name was Heidi. It was her younger brother, who's a really excellent musician. He's actually he's a musician now. He's in a band called Parsons Field.
Yeah.
They were on. Their song was featured on Walking Dead. It was myself, this kid named James Ruther, and another kid named Chris Efkowitz. And what
kind of band was it?
It sounded like Grade, like kind of like heavier but more melodic heavy.
How many shows did you play?
2.
Do you have any recordings?
I don't believe so, but
Are there recordings?
There was a recording. We had a 4-track that we hung 2 microphones in the room while we practiced one time, just so we could hear what it sounded like. But I don't know if they are still in existence, but I have texted people to find out if they are still available. And
did anyone reply?
No.
I never knew you were in another band.
It was short-lived. I think we only played for about we practiced for about 2 or 3 months, and then we played 2 shows, and I went away to college, and that was it.
And that's when we never heard from Tommy again until he returned in 2004, and then he and I got drunk every weekend for the next 10 years.
Yeah, pretty much. I was that prodigal son, except for, I just came back and got hammered.
Yeah, well, listen, now we're doing this. You love to see it. Now,
it's all progress.
Progress, not perfection.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, we're out of time. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We're back next week with another exciting episode. New guest. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and until next time.